Hi, friends. This is Colin Richards, president and founder of Lord & Richards. And once again, we're talking in this segment about a really important question. And the question is, what's wrong with Dave Ramsey's advice? In a previous segment, I talked about what I felt was right, including his emphasis on paying down debt, giving, generosity, having an emergency fund, all important in a financial plan. But what's missing with Dave Ramsey's advice is it's independent of what we really need to retire, and that's a comprehensive financial plan. At Lord & Richards, we call that process of developing that plan a financial independence review, and every one of us need that in order to retire secure and safe, knowing that we've crossed the I's. Do you have a written risk management plan? Do you know what you're going to do the next time the market drops, even as we're watching it before our very eyes? Do you have a written tax reduction plan to make sure you don't overpay taxes and leave more money to the government? Do you have a written health care plan to make sure that if you or if you're married, your spouse gets sick, you're not bankrupted? It's the number one cause of bankruptcy. Do you have a written income plan to make sure, not a product, but a plan to make sure you never run out of money before you run out of life? And of course, do you have a plan for what happens when you pass on? Again, making sure you don't leave your money to build a hospital wing or maybe to put a wing on a jet, okay? Rather, to leave your money to those that matter the most, to those whom you love, and to those causes that are vital and critical to you. So here's what I see that's wrong with Dave's advice, and I encourage you to listen to this in tandem with the previous two segments. Number one, he's not licensed to offer it. Last time I checked, he has no investment advisor license. Now, this is a challenge, and I don't know how he avoids actual prosecution by the SEC, but I know he calls it an opinion, right? He's just offering his opinion. His background was in real estate, and unfortunately, he's giving people investment advice, often telling them what to put their money into, which involves the stock market, and that's almost the definition of investment advice. Number two, he thinks the S&P 500 is going to net you 12% over the long term. Now, he does that by going back to 1926 all the way to 2019, and he calculates that rate, but it's simple averages that he's using. He's not using real compound investing, which would show you 10.2% in that period. But here's the reality. We don't live 100-year-long retirements. We live in periods during the market. Some periods may be really exciting with high returns. Some may be really low. For those who maybe retired in 2000 and are now enjoying their 22nd year of retirement, if I go back to the S&P, which was 1469 on 1/1 of 2000, to just yesterday, which was 3803, the S&P over that nearly 22-year period, folks, listen to it, has averaged less than 4.5% compound growth. You say, that can't be. Of course, we're looking at the index, so we're not including the dividends if you were to actually invest in those stocks. But a lot of people aren't participating in those dividends anyway, the way they invest. So here we go, 500 strong growth companies, and we have a long-term average of less than 4.5%. That doesn't sound like the advice you're getting from Dave Ramsey is going to lead you to a realistic growth expectation. Now, I'm not telling you you can't beat 4.5%, but I'm telling you that Dave Ramsey is wrong on that point. He also thinks mutual funds are going to beat ETFs. He says they're more long-term. Well, you can hold an ETF for as long as you want. He says they have more of a personal touch because somebody's actually managing it. The rules on mutual funds are so strict that there's really very, very little that a fund manager can do for most of the kinds of funds that I see people owning. As a matter of fact, what I see people thinking is that they're diversified by having a collection of mutual funds that very often overlap. And if you look at Dave's investment recommendations, they're almost all stock. There's almost no diversification so that you can benefit from other facets of the market. You say, well, over the long term, stocks are going to beat everything. That's not necessarily true. Here's the truth, okay? If you're investing in mutual funds versus ETFs, ETFs will cost you less. Those are called exchange-traded funds, and they're much lower cost. They also can be more tax efficient. If you allow yourself the right kind of tax advice, and I believe a written tax plan is critical to using them well, then you can save a tremendous amount on taxes. You can save a tremendous amount on fees. If you add typical mutual fund fees to that long-term return that Dave talked about in the S&P, you're not getting anywhere near 10.2. As a matter of fact, some of the wealthiest, most successful people who are out in the business world making money have said it's a great idea to grab some ETFs that track a stock market index because there is a place for a passive investment style. Now at Lord & Richards, we believe you need to be more than passive because it's not just about growth. Passive growth is great, but passive risk management, it's not going to help you. And what we're doing for our clients is building a written risk management plan that actively takes a role in making sure you don't take on more risk than you're comfortable with. If I were to summarize my view on Dave Ramsey, I would agree with the money.com headline that said this: save like Dave Ramsey, just don't invest like him. So those are my thoughts on Dave Ramsey today. You say, well, where do I go from here? I am working to get out of debt, which is good. I have built up an emergency fund. I have been saving towards my retirement and now have a nest egg, and I need to know how to use that so that I can retire financially independent. Well, that's where we come in. We're helping folks just like you every single day to achieve and maintain financial independence throughout retirement or on your way. All it takes is a simple conversation that begins with what we call a process of discovery, where you can find out what your goals, your dreams, and your values may mean for your retirement and how you can achieve those through our very simple 3-step process: discovery, evaluation, and plan. At the end of that time, you're going to be able to relax at night knowing that your retirement is secure, your financial independence is ready and waiting for you if you're about to retire, or it's going to continue for the rest of your life if you're already retired.